Hi. Last chapter, the young man and the teacher were talking about one idea. This idea was to travel, to have a trip to England. Let's see how this story goes in chapter 24. Getting money for the trip. Well, have you made any plans for our trip? Mr. Miller asked the boys on their next English evening. Oh, yes, we have made many, and we have something good to tell you. Wood's manager will let him have 2 weeks' holidays this summer. We have been thinking of how much the trip will cost, and we have also asked about the tickets. We know how much it will cost to go to England and back, but we don't know how much it will cost to stay for 2 weeks in England. Could you tell us about that, Mr. Miller? Yes, 2 weeks in London at a hotel that is both good and cheap will cost about £15 for each. Have you got so much money? Wood. £15. That is much. I haven't got so much money. Brown. I think we shall all have to try to earn some extra money. I'm afraid, for we have very little. To earn some extra money is to get some extra money. Alan, when I spoke to the manager at the office about our trip to London, he was very interested. He said that the firm would be glad to have a young man in the office who knew something about the English in England. He said that such a man would always be of great use to a big firm, and he gave me to understand that the firm would give me some of the money for the trip. Alan spoke to his manager at the firm about the trip to London, and his manager was very interested. He thinks that have such a good man, such a young man in the office that knew about England and English would be good for the firm. He thinks that this is important. So the firm will money, will give money for Alan so Alan can travel. Brown. It must be a fine thing to work for a firm like that. But I will tell you something about the bookshop where I work. Brown works in a bookshop. If one of us get a good idea for the shop and it is used by the manager, we are paid well for it. It is used by the manager. The idea is used by the manager. In this sentence, we have passive voice. The passive voice is the sentence that we say that one thing or a person suffers the action. The idea is used by the manager. The manager uses the idea. This is the active voice. Passive voice and active voice. Another example. Lily writes a letter. The active voice. Lily writes a letter. The passive voice. A letter is written by Lily. To create a passive voice, we have to use the verb to be, is, or are, or in the past was, were, in the present perfect, has been, have been, in the future, will be, and the past participle of the verb is written. Written is the past participle of the verb to write. In the sentence, the idea is used by the manager. We have the verb to be is and the participle used. The idea is used by the manager. Another example. The teacher drinks coffee. Active voice. The teacher drinks coffee. What is the passive voice? The coffee is drunk by the teacher. The coffee is drunk by the teacher. That is the passive voice. Let's go on. And I have an idea. It is just the right time now to speak to him about it. I will tell you all about it, then you can tell me what you think of it. Perhaps you know that some bookshops have a library. You can see a picture of a library there. There are many people who would like to read, but they cannot afford to buy many books. That is, they don't have the money to buy many books because the prices are so high. But at a library, they can borrow books for next to nothing, and after they have read the books, they bring them back again. That's what we do at a library. We borrow the book, that is, we take the book for some time, and then after we read it, we return to the library. This is to borrow. For example, I need money to buy a chocolate in the chocolate shop. I don't have any money. So I ask, "Hey John, will you borrow me some money?" And then John borrows me money and I use the money, and later, another day, I return John the money. I pay back John. So, to borrow and to return. At the back of the shop, we have a small extra room which could be made into a library where people could read for a short time to see what books they want to borrow. In this way, many people who cannot afford to buy the books they would like to read can get all the books they want without paying very much. But we should get some money out of it. So what is Brown's idea? Brown's idea is to transform the small room at the back of the shop into a library where people can borrow books and after return it. Besides, that is, also, when people come in to borrow books, they would also see all the other things we have in the shop, so that perhaps we could sell them some of these things too. A bookshop sells books. A chocolate shop sells chocolate. A booking office sells tickets. This is the verb to sell. I buy, the shop sells. There are 4 other bookshops in our street, but this idea has not been tried by any of them. This is also a passive voice. Let's see the example at the side of the page. The idea has not been tried by them. They have not tried the idea. And it would be a good thing for us to be the first shop to take it up. That is, to have this idea, to make it. Mr. Miller, that is a very good idea. I am sure that it would be a good thing for your shop. And you would sell more books too, because people would learn to read good books. And that would bring more people to the shop to buy them. Brown, yes, and I would write letters to the people who live in our part of the town to tell them about the new books and to invite them to read books in this cheap way. I will take this idea to the manager tomorrow. I am sure he will use the idea. And then I shall be able to afford the trip, that is, to buy the trip, because he always pays well. My manager is a man of modern ideas. He's always looking for, that is to look for. When you want to find something, so you look for. Where are my gloves? Said Mrs. Brown. Where are my gloves? Mrs. Brown is looking for the gloves. Where are they? He is always looking for something new, and he is not afraid to try something modern if he thinks it will bring more business to the shop. He is not afraid. He is not worried. He's like, oh, I'm afraid. No, he's not afraid. He's not worried. I think that he is a very clever businessman. Clever is intelligent, and businessman is a man that works in the business, in the shop. The cleverest I know. He always knows the right thing to do to sell more. The managers of the shops in our street are not half so clever as he is. And when their shops are almost empty, our shop is almost full of customers. Customers are the people who want to buy something in a shop. And we are always busy all day. Empty and full. The cup is empty. There is no coffee in it. If I pour coffee in the cup, it will be full. Full, empty. So the store is almost all day full. There are many people, many customers in the shop. And because of this, they are busy. What is busy? Oh, I am busy. I am doing this. I am doing that. I am doing this other thing, that other thing. I have no time. I am busy. I am doing many things right now. This is to be busy, to do a lot of things many things at the same time, and because of this, have no time. Sometimes we are so busy that we cannot find time to have our lunch because there are customers coming in all the time so that our shop is never empty. I hope I shall be just as clever a businessman when I get older. But I am afraid there are many things for me to learn first. Mr. Miller, it is a good thing to work for such a clever businessman. For you, because you can learn much from him and get cleverer yourself. Well, how about you, Wood? You have been so quiet all the evening. What is wrong? Wood, I have been thinking that perhaps I shall have to stay at home. There is no way for me to earn extra money at our office. And besides, there is so much work to do there that it would be difficult for me to take any other work in the evenings. He said, there is no way. It means it's not possible. I don't know how to get the money. I don't like to borrow it because my salary, the money that we receive in the beginning or at the end of the month, is not very high, and it would be difficult for me when the money had to be paid back. I think my salary is too low for all the work I do. Brown, why don't you ask your manager for a rise of salary then? Ask for a rise is to ask the manager the salary be higher. So you want the salary to be higher, to be bigger. So you say, can I have a rise? Oh, I couldn't do that. I haven't been there for a year yet. And besides, I have just asked the firm for longer holidays. So Brown thinks that it's not possible to ask for a rise of salary. Brown, you can at least try. If you cannot earn the money you need in some other way, you must try. Go to him tomorrow and ask for a rise. Tell him how much work you do and what you're going to spend the money on. Wood, well, I don't like to ask for a rise, but I will try. If I can't earn a higher salary, I don't see where I shall get the money from. I am not full of ideas like Brown. My head is empty. He has no ideas. Mr. Miller, don't let us talk any more of it tonight. I'm afraid it's getting late now, and besides, my wife is already waiting me with the coffee. Next time, we shall know whether you will be able to afford to go or not. And then we will speak more about our plans. Mrs. Miller, please come and have coffee. A cup of hot coffee will do you good. Now that you have to go out into the cold night, Yes, thank you very much, the young man answered. Brown. Hot coffee is a very good thing in a cold night, and we would all like very much to speak English with you for a few minutes, Mrs. Miller. We know from your husband that you speak English very well and that you like that language as much as we do. Mrs. Miller. Yes, my husband and I like English so well that we often use it when we are alone together. That's it. We have got to an end of chapter 24. See you in chapter 25.